the earth itself is matching the
Yes.
vibration of the rest of the universe.
Yes.
And we have the sun that's full of this energy too, and all of the humans walking around on the earth are figuring it out. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
exactly how it feels, but that I love that you followed this in such a clear, beautiful way.
And trusting,
And yeah.
trusting way. Do you know the purpose of it's Guinness?
Glynis.
Glennis. Do you know the purpose of it?
She always just calls it a healing and like when we talk about it, it's always a community, like with unity all in caps. So I know it's just it's a community dedicated to healing and awakening and oneness.
Yeah.
She talks often about miracles. Many of her messages say that cancers and everything that it'll be gone.
Yeah.
She has talked about it being like Lourdes. That doesn't make sense to us because of the way the land is. Like there, we'd have to bring people in on like a shuttle or something. I mean, things have it's kind of strange how it has opened up. Like all of the things that we thought weren't possible, all of a sudden things have been made possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is a space for gathering, and I think it's a place for people to come for healing and for connection. I get the feeling that just by being there, people will awaken or enlighten. Things will shift for them, both physically and emotionally and spiritually, or I guess also in all sorts of ways. So
Just think back to that moment when you were sharing. First of all, just a mind-blowing story. I always listened for people listening, and I was just so captivated by what you were sharing and the flow of it, and relating that to those moments where it did seem kind of kooky or quirky, and
sure.
I pressed send too,
Yes.
and what people would have thought, or all of that stuff you were bringing up. There's a element to your humanness that I think people are going to relate to when they listen, and that yet you did it anyway and opened that up, and you didn't know where it was going to go, and then when you were ready, the Mary energy came to you.
yes.
And then it was and it's been that since, right?
Yes, we still will connect occasionally. Not so much myself. My husband receives messages. There's a guide named Cenacle, which means the upper room, which of course makes sense because it's kind of like the upper or higher consciousness, I guess. Cenacle, he has a guide named Afilhado, which was very strange to us again because when we spelled it, that meant nothing. But when he looked it up, it's Portuguese for stepdaddy or stepfather, or male, kind of like a male mentor. And that was very meaningful to us because part of my experience when I was 21, I was an unwed mother with an unplanned pregnancy. And the night I found out about my pregnancy was the night I had this this spiritually transformative experience. So my husband, Mark, we met him when my son Blaze was 1 and I was a single mom. And he never questioned 1 second of becoming Blaze's father. Took him on fully, and it always reminded me of Joseph. It was sort of like Saint Joseph because he kind of, the story, and I know there's question if she was an actual virgin and things like that, but the idea is he took this on even though other people would look at it maybe as
No, you're right on.
You know what I'm saying? So I've
Yes,
always thought of
exactly.
that. And then we had 2 other sons. And so Mark is what I'm learning now and what I'm understanding is Mary, a big part of her message is about the divine feminine. Okay. And she's talking about the divine feminine awakening. And I think a lot of people think that means like woman power, and it has nothing to do with that. It's about balance, and it's about balance within. And so a lot of my Mark's messages and my son's messages are about this connecting to the divine feminine within, and they are actually, the males are the place where this will really occur. It's not about women taking over. It's about creating that balance, and for men to discover that balance within them, and to bring more of the nurturing and the love and the unity or connecting ideas forward. And I think that's so Mark began like a men's book club and things like that to try to mentor men, and they do kind of spiritual books and podcasts, or they watch videos and things like that. And it's about getting in touch with this
Both
other
sides.
side. And
Well, that's
It's the part of them becoming free to be fully who they are.
Right.
Because it's natural to have a balance of masculine and feminine, but men didn't feel that way in this world. It didn't they didn't feel free to do so. And now they can.
Yeah, so she speaks a lot about that. I imagine some of the listeners will wonder about, well, is this really Blessed Mary? Because she only refers to herself as Mary, Lady of Light. Okay. And so I asked her once, I said, people are asking that. And it was kind of cute because she said, I am the divine feminine, the cosmic mother, the mother of Jesus. But then she has a little sense of humor, and she said, but you can even call me the sugar plum fairy, which to me was like, I am a guide that is about joy and about
mother.
Love
and fun and things like that. And sometimes she'll say things like, it's okay to think of me as, one of your girlfriends. Like, we don't have to put these guides on a level that they're not accessible or that we feel guilt. I mean, they're here, they're one with us to guide us. They're our higher self.
Yes. She didn't want you to look at her as being better and on a pedestal. She wanted to be one with all.
Absolutely.
I love that.
So she'll talk about
That's
Jesus.
balance in itself right there.
Yes.
That's balance in itself right there.
She'll talk about Jesus and talks about, the way, and that, we lost touch with the way, that he came to show us this way of mastery, which is really living our divine self. And she'll talk about the second coming, which is Christ consciousness or unity consciousness. So she does not... she'll make references to either the Catholic or Christian church, but also we get a lot of messages that she brings in other cultures, other faith traditions. The other day she said, clothe yourself in a burqa of joy. And I thought, oh my, how beautiful is that image? So when I looked up burqa, I found out there's many different types of coverings, but the burqa is the full body one, and to cover yourself in a burqa of joy, I just thought, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it has such a negative
Yes.
connotation. But when you said that, that's like...
It's busting another paradigm. I mean, she's full of busting the paradigms that we have created here
because
on
that
the
makes,
earth.
that's
that a
just
lot.
covering, that's joy. Like,
Right.
And putting us in joy, absolutely. Like, oh my God, this is like amazing.
Yeah, it's really, it's just been obviously life-changing, but also it's like the most natural thing.
Yes.
We ended up in March. We sold our home so that we could, we could purchase the property while we were living in our home, but we couldn't build the property. We can, so we are now renting, and it was, a lot of people were like, "Wait, what? You're like selling your house?" And and it was sort of like, absolutely,
Because you're going to live there.
Yeah.
yes, but also, we trust that what we're being told is true, because everything else, and I think that was part of like maybe why when I had the experience 31 years ago, I was given two kind of, I guess, not pieces of advice, but two basic tenets to live on, okay? Because my life was I was in a very destructive phase of my life. I had not dealt with some earlier trauma. Even though I had a great childhood and family, there was some trauma from earlier that I had kind of turned against myself. So for about 8 years, I was not living, in alignment, and really probably self-abusing is what I would say. And that night when I had the experience, two things were basically downloaded into me. And I began living from those principles, and my life changed so quickly and so dramatically. And I still live with those every single day. And I learned that I don't really want to be in charge of, I don't want my ego self, my fearful self, to be in charge of my life. I don't want that. I don't want to listen to that side of me. I want to listen to the side of me that is connected, that is that higher dimension, that is an awareness of unity and the divine and all that offers. And it was very dramatic how it changed my life. And I think I was given probably that experience so that I would trust when this happened. There was really no way to say no. And when I say that, yes, of course, we have free will. And we have hesitated and things like that. But to align your will with something like that, I will say to you, the last year and a half has been miraculous for my husband and I. Healings for illnesses that have come, all sorts of kind of, pretty wild things. And it's been miraculous and magical. The only negative parts are our own doubt and fear, but nothing bad's happened.
Which aren't real.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we just work daily to try to sort of overcome those, to choose again, and to follow this
That'll
direction.
fall off of you. I feel it.
Yeah.
That part will just fall off.
Another thing that came to me when you were talking earlier about the man in France.
Yes.
He spoke French, you spoke English, but you had a conversation
Yes.
How did
for
that
an
happen?
hour. For me, that feels like she was showing you, or the divine was showing you, that anything's possible.
Right.
If you can do this, why can't you do this or
Yes.
these other things that don't look possible at the property? But I just thought that was so profound that
it spoke to us about communication as well,
Yes.
that even though you feel like you can't communicate, and whether that be like, there's a lot of people that think they can't have these experiences, or they can pray one way, but they don't
Right.
receive. To me, it was a full message about communication. Just we don't have to understand it, that our
Yes.
The
heart...
telepathy part.
Yes,
Yes.
our heart will receive. And it was something that occurred in this physical world, but it had symbolism and meaning beyond. And so it was a really amazing encounter. Like I said, we kind of were like, what just happened? And we were just talking about the church and the mosaics and the different scenes and the different things. This man it wasn't like a profound necessarily conversation per se. It was very lovely and fun, but it just showed us, oh my goodness,
You wouldn't have thought that was possible when you walked
Correct.
in.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of stories
Like
like
that.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it also kind of keeps us going a little bit, because
Right.
when we start wondering, like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? And can we trust this? Oftentimes we are given some sort of beautiful experience that helps us recommit. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you know where the spring is located that she says will start gushing?
I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's a piece of the Lord's
Yeah.
energy that she was talking, or they've been talking about, that it will be.
Mm-hmm. I think so. What she had originally said to us is, so there's 10 acres that
Yes.
this land is, and there's a lot of land around it because it's in the flood zone. So there's multiple parks around there. Very beautiful. When we go out on the river, you can't see civilization. There's no other homes. There's no anything. So it's a lot of green space, a lot of water. And so what she had told us is that she basically said the spring is at X marks the spot, okay, which was very cryptic. And so she said one of the other things that was very neat was in the beginning, and this was actually before Mary had come in, but right from the beginning, we were told that it ran under the nail line, and we did not know what that meant. But then our realtor, when we got our survey plans and we blew it up, there was a little line on there called the nail line. So that was not something, once again, we were familiar with. So that we had heard about first, and then there it was. So we knew it had something to do with that. And then one day, and then so it was X marks the spot under the old pipe. So we were out there at the property, my husband, myself, our two realtors, and this wonderful landscaping person named Xavier, which that's kind of a funny story too. But anyway, I was standing on one of the bridges, and there's a creek that runs underneath the bridge, so it would be perpendicular. And as I was standing on the bridge, all the guys were down below in the creek, kind of looking around, and the woman, Debbie, realtor, and I were both standing on top of the bridge. And right when I was standing there, as I looked, I could tell I was standing on an X, okay? And so all of a sudden I said to Mark, I said, oh my goodness, I'm standing on an X. I wonder if this is X marks the spot. And right when I finished saying that, Xavier, the landscape person, said, oh, wow, there's this huge old pipe under the bridge. So long story short, she directed us and said it's right at the base where the pipe flows out. And so there's a crossing there where the two streams meet. And what is very fascinating about the land is there's this huge area. You can tell at some point there must have been almost like a pool there, but there's just this very mild, it's a constant moving, there's constant moving water. So there's a spring, but at some point that must have been filled, because we've been out there when it rains and everything, and it never gets that filled. So I think what she's letting us know is that's going to reopen, and I think it will reopen. Sometimes she does talk about, she always says you don't need to go into fear, but she does talk about the earth shaking.
Yeah,
she calls it the earth shaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
There will be an earth shake. She does talk about lights in the sky, and she always says, do not go into fear. We ask, do we need to do anything to prepare? And she says, absolutely not. There is nothing you need to do. All will be well. Everyone, it's all good. So we are near a fault line here in the St. Louis area, and so we have different things. So I'm open to that there could be possibly a tremor or something that would then reopen and that
Yes.
would flow. And of course, we're all open to miracle water flowing. So, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen other miracles, so I'm not going to doubt it.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just don't want this to end.
I know. Well,
But I
we'll just
do-
have to have you come back as things
Sure.
progress
Yes, for sure.
because
Well, two things I want to know.
Yes.
Have they talked to you about the crystals underneath there, the land?
We get a lot of messages about the land. Some of it she says the land sits on the Nitor vortex, and that is spelled Nitor. And then, of course, when we looked that up, Nitor means shining or brilliant, which is lovely. So she says it sits on the Nitor vortex. She says she talks more, and I do feel like this is symbolic more, but she talks about the land in many different ways being like sometimes she'll say that the sod is miracle sod, and there is like elements or nitrates or different things in there that is miraculous. She has discussed things about caves that there are, she'll call them jewels, and I think she's referring to crystals.
Yeah.
I would like to add here, if people are like wondering, well, why isn't it very clear? Like sometimes these messages, my messages, she uses a somewhat archaic language, and she has said, and once again, I did not know anything about this, she said that we were connected at the time of the Essenes, and occasionally she will use Aramaic words, and I don't know Aramaic, so she'll flip them back to something in English. But I do believe like I guess if you were doing like a telegraph, it's not always, or like Morse code, it's not always a perfect, like she speaks in sentences, but she uses language often that I don't always understand, so I have to get clarity. So she has not used the word crystal per se, but she talks about gold, she talks about jewels, she talks about the sod. She uses a word that there's like phyllium, and it's like Phyllium, which I don't think that there's a connection. I haven't been able to Google that word or find that the meaning, but she talks about that a lot in the land. But she does talk that there's a living earth there. So it almost feels like there's higher dimensional beings that live in that karst, and that will open at some point. We do hear about other higher dimensional beings that are on the land. We know that there have been Native Americans that have used that property for many, many centuries. So, it's
And the star people too.
and the star
Yeah.
people. Yeah, when she wanted the building, she said, I want a triangular window facing the river, which is west. And she said, make sure to keep it clean. And I've got to believe it's some sort of portal.
Yeah.
So, I
And
know.
And the last, how this all started with you, the channeling thing. Like,
Yes.
so do you teach that now, or like, how do you share that with other people, or you say go click on the $22 thing?
I am happy to share the website. It is not my it is not my offering.
Is
so
she still, it's still up? The
It
website's
is still up. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and I've met her. So her name is Suzanne Spooner. She is a
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah.
quantum healing hypnosis practitioner that lives in Des Moines, Iowa. And while she was actually being regressed or hypnotized, I think while she was going through her own training, her father, who was deceased, came through and gave her this method of connection. And she has shared it. So the website for that is just simply www.theartofuniversalknowing.com. And they call it TALK for short, which is TAUK, The Art of Universal Knowing. But you can go on there. She just has the some videos, short videos about how to connect with it, how to do the channeling. So what Mark and I have, we said from the beginning, anybody that wants to do that and anyone that needs help with it, we will help free of charge for sure. Like, we don't charge to spend time with people that want to do that. But there are people now that are writing books through this method, other people whose gifts, they've had intuitive gifts that have opened. They don't even need the talk process anymore. There's a lot of people that are getting messages about many things. I love it when people, they'll text me or call me and be like, hey, I got a random message about Glynis today. And it usually connects on the same day with the same messages we've gotten. That's, once again, evidential. And evidence is very important.
It wires, right?
Absolutely.
It causes the wiring.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer. I would not just be sitting here and talking from my own just experience. I want things that are evidential, that other people can see and other people can actually experience themselves. I don't want anybody to believe me or tap into what I'm doing. Because what I know is everybody's being called.
Yes.
To this awakening and to this same kind of service. It might look different. Believe me, I don't think everybody has to go buy a 10-acre property and put up a healing house. But I do think every person has a purpose that will serve unity and healing and this higher awareness, this higher consciousness, this higher dimension. And I think it's exciting and beautiful. And I think it's what people have been looking for. They feel unfulfilled and they feel disconnected. And
here we go.
yeah,
Yes,
for sure. Here we go. You're right.
Thank you so much. This is just the beginning. Like, we're going to keep continuing. This is just beautiful. And like, I'm so excited for the people that get to listen to this,
Yes.
and like
Yes.
how this, I'll share with you after we get done, but like, this really related to me a lot too, like
Wonderful.
on something that happened in my life recently that makes total sense right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
That did not make sense to me before.
Oh.
So I know that that's happening to people that listen to this, and yeah, thank you so
you.
much. It's such a
Absolutely.
blessing, and like, really grateful on the day before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Beautiful way
Thank
to take
you.
something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
both
Meg.
for having me. It's
And
wonderful.
thank you guys for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.